and COMiX Headlines, hosted by Mr. Anderson and Meredith Logren. Join them and their guests as they go over the COMiX headlines from this week and their projects, brought to you by the COMiX Newswire and Geek Insider. Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey, party people. What is up? We are talking about hangovers today. Type that are
and not even the good kind. Well, yeah. Maybe the good kind.
Well, depending. I mean, we're going to be talking about the crowdfunding hangover. This is something that if you ever ran a crowdfunding event, anything to do with crowdfunding, you have felt the after effects of it. The basic idea is that by the time your campaign's over, the first couple of days you feel paranoid, like you're supposed to be doing something. You can't stop thinking that you're supposed to be doing something. You can't sleep as well because you feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to because you've gotten so used to it during a month. It's suddenly gone. This big part of your life is now gone. And then after it, there's sometimes a little bit of depression because now you feel like I should have done this, I should have done that. There's self-doubt that creeps in. It's like the ending of a relationship, a temporary relationship that you had and you had connected with all your fans, and now you're kind of get distracted by it. I don't get as much the depression aspects, but I have heard people talk about the depression. To me, it's usually, honestly, I look around and I'm like, oh my God, I have more white hair. Oh my God, look at how my house looks. Oh boy, look at how my car looks. I haven't cleaned the inside of my car in a month now. And I'll pass it around the room. By the way, I'm Rob Anderson. Since you're all here, and you all know who I am. I'm a troublemaker. No, I'm the COMiX advocate, and we just got done with the Continuum. And campaigns are hard. We've dealt with a lot of bullshit. I'm not even ready to talk about some of the bullshit we dealt with. Like, I'm not even going to go into it. But this was like the hardest campaign I think I've ever ran, and it's the one I'm most proud of. And by the time I got to the finish line, I got there with amazing people, both backers and my partners. Continuum was born in the middle of it. How many people can say that they actually created a company in the middle of a crowdfunding campaign? It just goes to show
insanity.
It goes to show you the energy and the spirit and the love for comics that was in the room. Now it's all about the backers for me. I move on to the backers, but for a couple days, it definitely is trying to reassimilate to life.
Oh God, yeah.
Me, I had to do with the awards during the entire time. The dumbest thing I've ever done was try to run the awards and a crowdfunding. And I mean, you could ask Meredith, Mike, and Nita if I ever let the awards get in the way. I don't think I did. I don't think I think it drove me crazy because it would meant that I had to go to the line a lot of times with the awards. I had to go to the last minute to get everything done. But from the reviews I've heard and the people who watched the awards, I think that we won in the awards too and leveled up from last year. Brian Polito's now in the Hall of Creators. Keith Thomas is in there. We just keep going. We keep churning. And next year is going to be so much better. We're going to have fan and panel judging. It'll be a lot more structured than it was this year. It'll flow a lot easier. No one understands, except for I think maybe Meredith, how hard it was for me to take everything to the line.
Oh, yeah.
I literally took it. Like we announced a winner live on air because it finally had happened. That's how crazy it was. We didn't even have a logo or an icon. Some of them were easy, some of them weren't. We had thousands of votes throughout this. Thousands of people.
Yep. Over 4 weekends, yeah.
It was crazy. It was crazy, man. I'm still tired from it. And that was just last Sunday. And then we went right back into our last week, which, of course, we saw Mike Seeley become the new artist of Wolf. Huge upgrade. Fantastic. I love working with him. For me and him working together, it's easy. It's fun. So to be able to work with him on this and talk things out, I was already inspired. We were already talking about different layers of the story that weren't even there before. And as the creator, so when you have an artist that inspires you, there's two types of relationships, and I'll ask you guys this too while you're talking about your week in the crowdfunding stuff. But I think that when you work with an artist that gets you, it excites you in a whole different way as opposed to working in an artist who just draws what you ask them to. And I think there's a different kind of symbiotic relationship that happens in there. Not to say there's anything wrong with it. You're going to work with people in this industry who are just going to draw what you ask them to draw. That's going to happen. It's nothing. No one's wrong. As long as they're giving you quality work, you can't complain. Quality work's important. You don't want lobster hands in the middle of your book, let's say. You don't want that to happen. You don't want weird things that don't like you don't want like Power Ranger clay people to be part of your work. So, you just want professional art done, and that's all you can hope for. But if you get to that next level where you get to work with someone, see, Jax understands. Jax gets it. Where you get to the point where you get to work with someone who's a professional, who inspires you, and you level each other up the whole time. You're always like, "Oh my God, let's do this. Oh, you're so right. Oh my God, let's do this." And it's just it's that writer's room that you want to be part of that's making magic.
Yes.
That show for 10 seasons that wins an award and it ends on its own terms. That's what I want to be in a room with. And I feel that way with Mike Seeley. Anytime we get in a room to talk creating, we talk comics for an hour, then creation for an hour. Next thing you know, we look up, it's 2 hours later. And it's a conversation my son sits through. He actually behaves when Mike's around, sits through it. I mean, he's 6 and autistic, so he has his moments. But besides that, fantastic. So, I mean, crowdfunding takes a lot, but working with the right people, you don't care as much. And the backers we had, the people who came out and shared it, we literally started with a completely different project at Go. Only 2 stories made it to the finish line, untouched, unchanged. And everyone didn't care. They stuck with us. They knew we were going to give them quality. They saw that we pivoted. They saw we brought them a better product in the end. I've had more than one person. Trish said it on air. Other people reached out to me and went, "Oh my God, she said exactly what I was thinking. This looks so much better. This looks like really awesome." Russ Leach, thank you for the cover. He leveled us up with that cover. Thank you for being part of it with the By the Sword, giving us a limited edition. Nothing but love to Russ Leach. True professional, someone I enjoyed working with. I get to have a credit line with Russ Leach now. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, there's someone I can point to in my book and be like, this is someone you need to watch. Go check out Only Death Can Save Us. Fantastic book. This sword thing.
By the Sword.
Oh man, it's Viking. That's all.
It's Vikings, of course.
That's all I need. That's all I need.
Russ is going to bring quality no matter what. Russ is always going to bring quality. He has showed that not only in his art, but in his character too. So Russ is a quality guy. True professional.
Yes. And that's what I really like the fact that I'm at a point in my career where I'm working with professionals. To me, everyone that I've been working with recently are professionals. They're conversations. It's not picking on anyone, but it's not, oh, well, I'll do it when I feel like it. I don't hear that from the people I'm working with right now. Oh, I'm just not in the mood to draw today. I've never heard that from the people. And that's where you want to get. You want to get to where, crap, my wheel fell off my car today and I had a problem. Don't worry, I'll get you the art tomorrow. That's what you want to hear, not I had a flat tire. I don't think I'm going to draw for 2 days. You got to pick the people you work with, I think, and that helps everything work better. But I'm done talking. My voice is still sore.
Wait, I feel kind of attacked here. I had a flat tire, and I still had to draw.
Hey, right? You know what
That's it. We want to be around people like you, see? It's like no matter what is getting thrown at you, it's like you hit the ground running.
Lug nut.
Now, make sure it's lug nut, and then you got to skip the spot with the lug nuts. Oh, draw. Skip the line.
Don't forget to hit the emergency brake before you try to put it up on the jack.
You know what's funny? I was reading because I'm doing the sequel to the Monster book. I'm finally finishing the trilogy. So I'm reading because sometimes you have to go back and read your own stuff just for cadence, and you want to make sure that you didn't give it. Because sometimes the rewrites as a creator will stay in your head. Meredith knows what I mean. So you don't remember which version. To you, there's multiverses in your head with your own creation. Wait, did he go down that path or did he go down the other path? So I'm looking through my book.
The darkest timeline.
Yeah, with C.G. Gajardo. So I'm reading something and I'm trying to find the page it was. And I'm flipping through it. And all of a sudden I see BB-8. I love the fact that he hides things inside of the book. That is so fantastic. We did in the first issue there was a tribute to I am drawing a blank on he did Soundgarden.
Oh, Chris Cornell.
Thank you. There was a touching thing for Chris Cornell. So, Jax, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello.
Oh no!
Hey.
Oh, no.
Oh no! Oh no! All right, so Meredith, take it over. If you see me doing laundry, guys, that's because I'm still catching up with real life stuff. So you're gonna see me hanging shirts because now it's time to clean my house. I discovered I have a vacuum after a month. I forgot about that.
I would say for about a year, I've been observing people who are in the comic book industry and other places, but like independent movie makers and game makers and things like that. And every single crowdfund, it's like for the most part, they are pushing so hard. I mean, pushing every single day. I'm going to give a huge shout out to Christy Shin, because when she did her crowdfund, I can't remember how many months ago it was. I mean, literally, I was on social media everywhere, and every time I mentioned Horror Studios or Christy Shin or Demon Bitch or anything, she was right there. It didn't matter what time of day it was. I don't think the woman slept. And then when it was over, like, she was gone for like 2 days. And I understand that. Because the amount of time that you are putting into this to create it, to market it, to network with people, to say, hey, how can I level this up every single day of that campaign? And then and that's what you're doing. You're living it, you're breathing it every moment. If you're not, I don't know what to tell you, but I was all in. And then we did deal with a lot of bullshit, which we're not going to get into right now because we could probably really go off. But the fact is that we took that bullshit and we turned it around and we made something better. If we didn't have to deal with that, I don't even know where we would be. It's like, I'm going to look at it as a blessing. It's like, oh my gosh, our book is so much better because of what we went through. Period.
What up?
Hey, good morning. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to look back. I really don't, because it helped us. And it's like, okay. And now we see the caliber of people that we're working with. We're seeing the caliber of people that we are networking with. And it's awesome. And I'm exhausted. I took yesterday, I basically had to take my husband to work. I came home, I passed out. I didn't get up until 1:00 in the afternoon. I was just looking at the clock and going, oh, all right, I've got to take somebody else to work tomorrow. It was just one of those things where I didn't want to do anything. And at the end of the day, it was like, I'd still have to get some work done. I lettered the rest of the evening. I was writing. I'm trying to do the social media. I'm trying to build up that network, not just for me, but for the people who are creating. And, because as we build up that bigger voice, we have a bigger reach. It's just common sense, So you don't really take a day off, but you can take a couple of moments, breathe, relax, get your laundry done, clean your house a little bit. I mean, I really haven't touched much of anything, and I've been living on goldfish. I cannot wait until I have a decent meal that isn't at my desk worrying about the next thing that has to be done on my to-do list. Now it's more like, okay, I can get back to my regularly scheduled program until the next crowdfund. But I'm going to pass the mic to C, because C, you and I, we have 2 stories in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That wasn't supposed to happen, you guys. That was not supposed to happen, I promise you.
Which is what I will be spending today trying to add the sound effects to Reapers today. So that's what I'm coming down for. But I'm not really coming down. I've been kind of on the sidelines watching everybody and seeing that everything. Of course, we had this lady over here and what y'all been doing behind the scenes and stuff. So I know that y'all have got to be worn out. I mean, these people have been running a mile a minute at least. So I don't really have much to come down from, to be honest with you. So I don't feel the fatigue like y'all do, but just tightening up some loose ends and getting ready because this is my first published sequential art twice over, I guess. So yeah, so I'm excited
so
for that.
about that.
I can't wait to get that book in my hand to take a look at it and feel it and hug it and maybe sleep with it. I don't know. Who knows?
Nita. Oh, go ahead, C.
No. I was going to pass it to her too.
What? Now I'm
This is the crowdfunding hangover. And anybody, we put the link out there for anybody who wants to pop in here and talk about your crowdfunding experience the day after the hangover, the next steps. Well, because we will talk about the next steps. But Nita, you hit the ground running too.
Yeah, it was
And
an
you were
adventure. Yeah. 2 weeks out of the freaking crowdfunder, I was sick. It was a freaking nightmare, but it was an adrenaline rush at the same time. Like it was constant. Okay, what can I do to get this out there? What can I do to make this better? What can I say to be heard? And it was go 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday it was no. No.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Like I said, that's how I do a Kickstarter. I get somebody else to do it for me, and it works out. See, I still have that energy. I'm ready. Let's go do another one right now.
Oh, you'll have your turn. See, you will have your turn. Let me tell you.
no, because he's under new management.
Oh.
That's okay. Look, all I want to do is create. So, you do have to self-promotion and everything, but you know what? Point the finger and make me, go this way and I'll go that way. So I like that.
Yeah.
He likes being told what to do.
There were so many things that I felt like I needed to do. And quite honestly, the last 30 days, it helped me prioritize. A lot of the stuff that I didn't get to was like, do I really need that in my life? And there was look at Rob doing. He only goes off camera, I think, when he's folding underwear. Maybe
that's what it is.
That's what I'm thinking.
No, I do it on air. It's Jack. I go off air when Jack suddenly needs something. Because
I thought it might have been Speedos.
I'm not going to let you know what I'm not wearing, but you can all guess what I'm not wearing.
Underwear. What underwear?
Wow. I think of you as a boxer guy. I know. I'm going to HR myself. All right. Yes. Oh, I need that shirt.
Me too.
In my life. Yeah, but there were a lot of things that I was not doing, and then I realized, kind of looking back, I'm like, do I need that? Where is that on my priority list? A lot of things shifted. As for me personally, professionally, all of those things, it's like, okay, now I have the time to really assess and really put the priority list in line to what I'm doing and where I want to go, And so you might see some changes coming from my direction. Whether it's on my social media or anything like that. It's just, I have to consider my time. My time is very precious. And there are things that need more of my attention than other things. And it's like, okay, I have an end goal. It's a matter of finding that pathway to get there now. And I've told Nita this several times. I'm like, those stepping stones, like, where are those stepping stones taking me? Just bring it. Yep. And again, for anybody who's tuning in right now, I think I don't know if Facebook is acting up right now. I'm not really seeing comments and stuff like that. But if anybody is tuning in and you can hear us, you are more than welcome to join in if you've had a crowdfund, successful or not. It's even the ones that haven't succeeded. I had one that didn't succeed. My very first one, I didn't expect that it would. And it did fail. The second one, because I learned from it. I still had the hangover after that, and there was still that little bit of depression. It was just like, oh, but it was all on me. It wasn't because of anybody else's fault, Andrew, welcome. You need to push hard with crowdfunding, with social media and interviews and media appearances. Absolutely, and that was it. Trying to find that circuit of shows that'll help move the needle.
I'd say that's got to be a lot because you're talking about not only you appearing on shows and things like that, but you're also having to get work done while you're not appearing on shows. So there's never really a wind down period until after it's over, and barely even then.
And still trying to keep up with our own stuff that was on the side already, you know? Which we neglected severely, but that's okay. We're back now.
Well, you know what? The kids were fed, right? The house doesn't have to be cleaned every day. The dishes will pile up, and you will wash them when you absolutely need a plate. I basically, it was like, oh, we need laundry. It's like, okay, I got time between a show, you know.
I know we might invest in Dixie silverware, dishware.
Yeah, we went
that's going to be your pantry. It's like you have your emergency pantry, you know, and that's going to be your
paper plates.
We were not a green family during this Kickstarter campaign at all. It was paper plates, paper bowls, freaking. Go ahead, drink out of the 2-liter bottle. It's okay as long as it doesn't dirty a cup. You know, whatever.
Well, with me, Meredith, my back went out mid-campaign really bad. When my back goes out, like if it touches the floor, it's done to me. It's in a new realm, a realm that I no longer can visit. So we actually spent last night at a laundromat, despite having an actual washer and dryer in the house, because I could not bend or move enough that the laundry just piled up. Plus, it's that time of the year, and for anyone who's got a home appliance, you know that the damn washers, when you put your comforters in it, it always messes with the spindle, and it's just not worth worrying about breaking it. So we wound up going there, and I hadn't realized how bad it got. I had bags of laundry. I felt like I was a college kid again. This last 2 months had been really bad on me. And you know how you could tell it's been really bad? Like, because you survived it, and it's like the childbirth thing. Hey, I'm on the other side of this. You don't really feel it completely until you look around, and you're like, oh, my God, I live here? And you start like, I got to take care of this. But like you said, you take care of your kid. Jax never once went without my attention whenever he needed it. He was always my priority. He got fed. He always had clean clothes. He always showered and bathed. I didn't miss a beat with that. But there was other things. Like, I mean, I looked at my hair this morning, and I'm like, that's got to get shaved off. You're starting to look like Reed from Fantastic Four, but not enough white yet that it looks cool. It just looks weird now. I was like, when it looks cool, I'll let it grow out. I'll have like the white mohawk. I can't wait for the white mohawk. Yes, I'm weird. But
yeah, I've noticed like the white here in the center of my head.
You were so getting a streak.
When I was looking in the mirror, I was just like, oh my God, is that a bald spot? And I realized it's like a white streak that just started to form right here. I'm like, oh, well, that would be cooler if it was actually filled in and didn't look like a bald spot.
Give it a minute. It'll be all right.
Give it a minute. Oh, wow.
Well, to the second crowdfunding campaign, we'll get you there.
By the end of the year,
great, thanks.
It'll be all filled out.
The next one is going to be a lot smoother. Let me tell you. Because
don't say that. Why?
Don't shut your mouth. Shut your
no.
mouth.
You know why? Because there's a better process in place with the team. I'm telling just from a words perspective. I told Rob, we call it
on this video so we can show this in a
smack her ass around. Oh my God.
We call it Robinese, okay? Because Rob
we do
has the dyslexia and he switches the letters sometimes, and it's like, Rob, no words go live unless they go through me or Nita. And he's like, perfect. I love it. Great.
And I said it to him. I'm like, come on. Rob wants the post.
And he does. Oh my God. It's like
Meredith's the person on the Titanic.
Like, okay. And then it's
I just want it said, Meredith's the girl on the Titanic going, this is going to be a great voyage. Nothing's going to go wrong.
Hey, but she remains the unsinkable, so.
I do, yeah.
She survived. The other people died.
It was great for her. She had adventure.
She had a story. She didn't want to get the heated blanket.
She had to write the fucking book after. Got paid for it.
Yeah, her boat had the hot cocoa. And like
Oh my
the
God.
singers on it, like all the cool celebrities were on her boat. And she's like, "This is awesome." Sorry about the boat, but this is
Hey,
cool.
if you guys only knew.
Yeah, with-
Okay, so now on top of the bullshit, trying to get the Kickstarter, trying to get the lettering done, lettering on 2 projects, making sure that we have stories, chasing down Nita in December for poetry that's going into this thing at the last minute, because it's like, hey, that was something that was kind of in our mind, and we were like, well, why don't we do it? It's like the first issue. Why don't we do that? So adding 2 more pages to that. And then on top of it, I'm looking at, okay, the end of my lease is coming up. I've got to move. So now in the middle of all of this, I'm looking for homes because I don't know where I'm going to be in a couple of weeks. Okay. So it's like, okay, not all of this, the white hairs might not be all crowdfunding, but that's life, and you just have to take what's coming to you and keep going, because what's the option? You lay down, you give up.
Yeah.
And C's like overloaded with work himself while he wasn't active in the crowdfunding. He freaking took up a lot of my slack because there was a lot of it. Like and he tried. You did awesome, baby.
Matt
Wait a minute,
Campbell,
wait
you
a
are
minute.
more than welcome to come in here and talk about your
Yeah.
Kickstarter hangover. What
or
it
your
is.
Kickstarter. If
Or
you're
your
live,
Kickstarter. Yeah.
if you're live, we can all
Come
tell
on
you
in.
how you're going to look in 3 weeks.
Sunday,
We got
Sunday COMiX Brunch
before and
is,
after now.
yeah, we're just having a casual conversation. Previously we've had, where we took a couple of headlines from the week ended and we would talk about that. But this is more of a water cooler moment. And we're tired, you guys. You see Rob's doing laundry. I'm sitting here, I'm sipping coffee. I'm going, oh, nap sounds really good
And,
right now, but I do have stuff.
It's crazy because you hear people talking about it all the time. All the time. And these people ran undisturbed campaigns with 0 monkey wrenches. They went in with A to B and followed it straight through. And we were like, it was nuts.
Mhm.
It was nuts.
You know what? I think the worst part was putting those surveys together for Kickstarter. Holy cow. I mean, you have to be pretty specific with the questions that you want to ask at the end of that, because you want to deliver, but you also want to get information. It's like, and then the whole thing with Kickstarter is like, marketing is not allowed. It's like, oh, what does that mean?
Yeah,
Wait a
that's
minute,
what?
I'm like, the whole thing is marketing. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah. So it's like, oh, well, is that okay? I mean, what are we doing? And that was one of the, see, for me, that's the thing. It's like the world could be blowing up around me, and I'll like dig in my heels and I'll handle it. And then I get nervous, or like, after the fact, after I'm like,
Right.
whew. And then it's like my body just kind of relaxes, and then you go, fuck, you survived that, you stupid
Right.
bitch.
Right.
Like, how did you do that?
Instead of marketing, we'll call it investment opportunities.
Investment opportunities. I think a lot of that is just a matter of like, don't spam your people. Don't,
No. Actually, I can tell you what's behind that. There's a specific reason that all went down, if you guys want to know.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Come
Is
on.
where, other people are tuning in.
So back in the day when Kickstarter was a lot more Wild West, they first started this backer thing. Few creators got wise and started sharing it with each other. And then the minute some couple of them started sharing, and this was sharing, hey, I'll share my list with you if you share your list with me. These people didn't opt into anything, and they were just taking emails now, not asking anyone if they can opt in, not doing any of that. So that became, obviously people were like, who the hell is this sending me an email? I didn't back his campaign. I don't even follow him. And then to make it worse, once people figured that out, what do you think they figured out they could do with the list next? Yep, sell
it.
Sell it. And people started getting these bigger lists, and they started selling out the information. And I know people who bought them. Marcel Dupree, he's one of the guys. Guarantee you he bought it. That's how he got so big so quick. And how do I know that? Because he told me behind the scenes, is this something I should do? And I said, no, it's unethical. Don't do it. And he's there like, oh, come on, it's not that bad. And when the minute your friend asks you a question, because I was friends with them for a time. And you know, when a person asks you a question that's your friend and says, "Oh, come on, it's not that bad," you know, they're not really asking if they should do it. They're just looking for you to tell them that what they're doing
Doing's okay.
Yeah, they want an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and people, I know other people who have done it. There are good ways to do it. Like credit to Russell Nolte does this thing where he puts together like an Amazon card. So a bunch of creators put in like, say, $20-$30, and they make like a $500 gift card. They give out comic books, and everyone who signs up, it's like a raffle. So you're giving your email. The problem with those, though, a lot of times is people know, like, we all have an email now. I don't know anyone who doesn't have that email. We call it the spam email. The one we just barely check.
Right.
We abandoned it because now we know. And let me tell you, the COMiX Newswire will have to change that email in a few more months because now we're starting to get spam because people just grab it and they add it to marketing things because these people are that's what they do. So that's why Kickstarter's done it. And Kickstarter's actually been able to take names and sort of search back who was doing it. And I can't confirm it, but I've been told that people have been removed for Kickstarter because of the list they use. And, you know, or suspended for a short bit, given a timeout because of it. So that's where all this came from. But now there's also the demographic question, which means the minute they asked about demographic questions, I'm like, there's a marketing tool. So because you guys ever back something and then you get sent to a weird site, like you have to go to like backer fulfillment or whatever they call themselves. They ask demographics. Why do they ask demographic questions? Guess what? They do it to sell it to marketing campaigns along with your email addresses. So I actually heard that they're going to start saying you can't use those fulfillment companies if they do that with Kickstarter in the future, because they were doing that. So, you know, and it's just the old adage: we live in a capitalist system. Someone's always going to figure out a way to make a buck. But that's actually why that all came to be. But it is, when you say marketing, it's that, and I was part of the conversation. You have to worry that you're crossing a line, so you just watch the words you use. I remember I had to literally Google, what are marketing terms? Email lists, newsletters. There was another one that I thought was like weird that it was on there. Promotional. Anything with the name promotion in it, you can't use. That's not the word I was talking about. But there was like a word that I was like, wait, that's so common. Stay connected even was in there, which I thought was weird.
Right.
Like, really become a marketing thing? Stay connected? And I was like, I guess it could be.
That's more of a networking than marketing.
Yeah, that's what we were doing with ours. We were like, we'll look at it just as networking.
Right.
Instead, pivoted. So if you did get asked about it, what do you mean that's networking? And then, you know, like Facebook did, they'll change the rules. And yes, I'm one of the reasons Facebook has changed their rules a couple times, because I am that guy who will argue with you until you change the rule. And then I'm like, well, fine then. But nothing before you change the rule matters. You see Jax there behind me just popping up like a gremlin. Oh. Surprised he didn't drop all the laundry on the floor, laugh, and run away. But yeah, so that was what actually came of it. Because that's Wild West. That's when Kickstarter first began, and it was like the undiscovered country. You know, no one knew what we were doing. I remember the first couple ones even asking for like the stuff you did, no one knew what to ask for. Some of the weirdest things were asked in some of the earliest surveys. Like, did you like my book? They didn't read it yet. You're asking them to send. So how do you send it? How do you expect them to answer? Did you like my book? You know, would you guys want to hang out sometime?
Wait, we can ask that?
You'd want to hang out with anybody.
Oh man!
You can ask all you want. I'm sure you get funny responses. Suddenly, C will be missing. We won't know why. And then we'll be like, oh, it was that thing where he was like, "I'm up for a good time."
He said, meet me out at the docks at midnight. I said, wow, that sounds like a cool place, man.
Walk out the door. Like the water. Docks tonight.
Oh, God.
I've never been to docks at night. I wonder what happens there.
No, thank God we took out that life insurance policy, right?
Worth more dead than alive.
And if it's accidental, then
that's why I made sure.
Set.
The minute I got married, I canceled every insurance policy. No. I've done watch Dateline. I know how this happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the one time, as a writer of prose, I love writing romance and I love writing horror. And so doing some research and stuff like that, I asked my husband the one time, I'm like, how long does it take before they declare you dead if you disappear? And he's like, why are you asking me that?
Wow.
90 days. 90 days. If they can't find a body, they can declare you after 90 days.
Maybe in Florida. Wasn't New York a little bit longer? Like
New York's 180.
I thought it was like 7 years or something.
No, if there's probable cause, I believe it's 180 days up in New York, 6 months.
Right.
But they have to have probable cause.
But if they think you ran away and they're not looking for the body, yeah, I think it's
like 7 to 10 years in most states.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's naturally, like without, with just
Right.
all right.
And if I have any of my FBI handlers, that is just we're kind of joking around. We're talking.
No,
about
I'm not. Come at me, bro. Come at me.
Look,
Wow.
Hi, Steve. Hope the weekend's over.
Rob's got a story about Steve.
He's the FBI handler. How you doing, Steve? He's been on so many of my phone calls. Steve knows.
Right.
I'm surprised I don't get any Christmas card from Steve. I'm a little hurt.
True story, you guys. True story.
Yeah, as a writer, though, I mean, some of the things look up, I'm on so many FBI lists just from the things that I Google.
There are some things that I will not do searches for.
There are some things I've searched for and gone back over my history before to look for something else and been like, oh, that was probably not a smart decision.
Yeah, not a good idea.
But nobody's coming knocking yet. So.
Smell of arsenic. What is this?
This might be a bad thing to admit, but sometimes I put two weird things together just to see what pops up.
That's the writer's life.
Like rubber duck suffocation.
What the fuck?
Want to see if someone else has done it yet? And if they have, how did they do it?
Oh my god.
That sounds like a 4chan topic right there.
Training to beat Superman. So
start looking up what color Gatorade matches antifreeze.
Lemon lime, actually.
No,
That's
my
my
favorite. Wait a minute.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so next steps. So what happens after the hangover? After you have caught up with the house cleaning, nourished your body a little bit better than goldfish crackers.
Well, you said it right.
The work continues.
Well, and after the survey, even like for me, it was like, what do I do after? Because my push was just getting out there and pushing. And it was like, I kind of had this lag moment after when the campaign was coming to an end, because it was like, but now I'm like insignificant. But then Rob came at me with things for me to do when we're not running Kickstarter. So, it made me feel better.
Well, that's it. It's like, when you're so busy and then all of a sudden, it's like you're swimming. And then all of a sudden you're in the middle of the ocean. You're going, oh, fuck, I don't see land anymore.
Right.
Well, for me, that I have a year planned out. So to me, nothing slows.
Mm-hmm.
I just have time because Kickstarter and our Kickstarter especially took a lot of additional time that you would normally have to have sacrificed. I think I've slept the least amount between the back injury and just regular stress from this. I lost 15 pounds this Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Literally lost 15 pounds of weight, which is not good because I didn't lose it the right way. So I lost some muscle in there, but that's okay. Stomach flus are good for getting you in size 0. So, the next thing is you put out your surveys. And everyone gets this one wrong. People wait too long to get surveys. I don't understand why. I like to have my surveys out right away so people have time. Now, you have 2 weeks before you generally get the money, 10 business days. So we won't see the money until we closed out late on a Friday, so the business day is already gone. We won't see the money till April. Oh, let's say the 3rd, just for argument's sake. We'll see it around the 2nd. Sorry, April 2nd. So once we have the money, we should send it to the printer. Now, we know the printer well enough. I've dealt with them in the past, so this is not my first campaign. So, I have a relationship with them where we can send the book probably week of when we get the payment, and they'll start to work on it, knowing that I'm good for the money at the other end of it.
Mhm.
So what we have to do now is put the book together. We would have had the book together, by the way, if we didn't have to stop and redo stuff.
And recreate the book
I had actually scheduled it
repeatedly.
to be in the middle of the campaign because I'm not a fan of leaving it for after the campaign. You want to keep people motivated, coming back, doing the work they're supposed to do. But you should be putting together the book, and you should be sending it out to a few people you trust. Hey, give this a once over. Take a look at this. You see anything? The whole team should have eyes on it. You're looking for mistakes at this point. Where did you leave an X that you shouldn't have an X? Where did you leave? Why didn't you pass it off to a website? How are people going to follow this now? So especially in ours, it's smaller stories. So where can they find the bigger collection of all the people involved in this book? So there's a lot to actually, it doesn't stop. Like if you're a creator, you're going to keep creating, and you're already working on your next. We're working actively on the second crowdfunding ready. I will begin to build it in just a week. We will begin to build the next crowdfunding campaign before we get paid for the initial crowdfunding campaign that we did, because we already are there in the planning stages. And this goes back 6 months ago, where I looked at Meredith and I said, give me 6 months and I'll get you a book. And here it is. And now it's time to get the second book. And I know Meredith would rather go a little slower than the pace I sometimes go, but it just so happened that we were put in a position where I had to have two to go forward, and I brought two to the table. And if we hadn't had those two, honestly, we wouldn't have had so much room to play right now and feel comfortable when everything went sideways. There were literally stories we could have popped in at any moment for this.
Oh yeah.
So we were
you know, that was the thing is we had enough content to do book 2, part of book 3, and at this point I think we've got 3 and we're looking at maybe book 4. So all of those things, all of those stories, it's like, okay, how are we going to put it together? And that's more of a logistics and a planning and putting your schematic together. So and just saying, okay, who's ready? Who's got finished art? For me, it felt a lot more stressful because it was like, okay, I've never really lettered, and now I'm doing 2, and it's like, and you need it now. I'm like, okay, and some of these, the one Karma was not supposed to be in this book. It was just like, well, it's kind of ready. If we can get a colorist who can do a quick turnover. I'm doing the lettering now, and it's come together, Yeah. So all of those things, again, it's like, how are you going to take those challenges and meet those challenges? And it could have been easy, I could have been like, Rob, it's not happening. I just can't. That's not in my nature. It'd be like, okay, I committed to this. I am going to get it done. I mean, even with the Independent Creator Awards, I had committed to doing the in memory section. I didn't realize that there were going to be like 50 names in there. And I was up until the sun came up to make sure that video was done. And I wanted it to be a quality piece. And I hope that it was, but at the end of the day, it was just, I was so exhausted. It was like, okay, it was just one other thing to add on to everything else that needed to be done.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
And sometimes you have to say no. And there have been things that I've said no to, because I just don't have the time. And it's not because, I have a problem with saying yes a lot of times. I say yes to a lot of things that I don't need to do. And Mike here says, I spent 1.5 months on the Kickstarter for Life on Core #3, then moved it all over to Indiegogo, where it's running right now. Kickstarter was unsuccessful. Indiegogo is doing all right, but yeah, stress from the first second to the last. Yeah, and Mike, please drop in your link so that we can share that out. It's we've got again, we're building up the network so that we can help promote, and it's not all about Continuum Comics. It's not all about my stuff. I love hitting the share button on a lot of people, and especially if you're a cool person. If you're cool, I'm like, yep, share it out.
Yep. Like tag me.
Mm-hmm.
Tag me, tag me, tag me.
Yeah. And that's
Yep.
and that's good. So next steps is like keeping busy. And I do have a question based on kind of like what Mike was saying here. After the hangover, you fulfill, start over with the next one. There are some people out there who don't have that next step planned. They're like, I didn't even think about a second book. Or they were like, you know what, this shit is harder than I thought. I don't know that this is for me. Have any of you kind of seen people? Look at Rob's face. Rob.
Most people aren't ready. They just aren't. They're not. And in fairness, remember, we started something called the Continuum that had other people's work joining us. It's different than putting out your book and realizing there's not an audience. And I've said this, and I don't hide this fact. When I started creating, Barbara Unleashed was always going to be a passion project. I didn't expect a lot of sales. I am thrilled with how well that does and how much attention that draws. Trust me, I'm very proud of that. Monsters, I thought was going to be a hit. This is a watercolored painted monsters book where the monsters are human. It was in magazine format. I love the art. I love this book. Not everyone agreed with me. I thought that was going to be a commercial success. It's found its niche, but it became a niche book, and I didn't expect that. But that's okay. I can pivot. I can make it a trade, give it a hardcover back, and make it something special, right? You have to be ready to make these changes and that. And sometimes when you put out your first book, you don't know what the audience is going to say. I've seen people put up a first book and realize that they're paying attention to the wrong character, so they swing it into the next one. Plus, again, hear this. Everyone can put out a first issue. By the time it comes to a second issue, there's a drop-off of I think it's 60% right now. 60% of people who put out a first issue will never put out a second issue. After that, a third issue plummets again by another 60%. To put out issue number 3 is amazing. After that, it's just there are certain creators who will keep going. JD has kept going. Look at what JD has done. Amazing stuff. Dan Sin has done amazing stuff. Hey guys, I would join, but I just woke up, so join anyway, JD.
Yeah, like any of us are like.
Did he seriously just show up when you said his name?
Yeah, sure did.
He does that. That dude, I swear to God, it's like speak of the devil. Yesterday, the day before, it was like, what? How does he? What the hell? It's like you summoned him.
Man, we're not dressed for church. You get up. I don't care if you're in a blanket, JD.
What sorcery is this?
Right.
Everyone can talk about making comics. Everyone can act like they're going to make comics. It's a whole different thing to continue making comics and put out quality. We talked about this the other day. A lot of people out there can do fancy covers, but put out a shitty interior book, and it hurts them. And Chuck had said this. Your covers will sell issue number 1 on Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much issue number 2. Your fan base begins to dwindle. And you can get really good. Like, there are a lot of people who will buy covers on Kickstarter, but in the real market, no one's reading your books. You know how people aren't reading your books? No one's talking about it. I can tell you right now, there are books that get talked about. Belial gets talked about. Barbara Unleashed. So many great reviewers out there who don't bother reading it, talk about it all the time. But there are actual people who read it who talk about it as well. I know that perfect example, JD's books. I've heard people talk about JD's books.
The Oswald Chronicles, they're great.
And not in a bad way, because sometimes you hear people talk about a bad way. The worst thing you can hear is, oh my God, I opened that guy's book. I've heard things like the book was 16 pages. I've heard the book wasn't colored, and I expected a color version of the book. It was black and white. That's why when we were talking about Backer Paws, JD shows the black and white. Credit to him. He's not trying to do that, because I've known people to show a color cover and never show any interior art, and people get a black and white book and they're pissed.
Right.
You have to learn. You have to learn how to navigate and do everything right. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to say sorry. No one's perfect. The industry changes overnight sometimes. One day it was okay to call my book Fetish Babies. The next day it wasn't. What had happened? Right. Movement. And it just became a kick me sign because people didn't understand it, didn't want to understand it, didn't care about it. Changing the name to Barbara Unleashed, spending an entire year to rebrand my entire line that was 3 issues in. That's a painful moment. That stops your forward momentum. And there was someone who had warned me about it, and I'll tell you who it is, Dirk Manning. Of all people, for me to admit that Dirk Manning is the one who told me I was making a mistake and I didn't listen, that says a lot. But again, I guess he knows something. I guess he knows about not treating people right. So,
Ooh.
you know.
Oh, my coffee's hot. But, Chuck just made a post the other day. Chuck just made a post the other day about how it's the pitch that sells the first issue, but it's the content, your sequential art, the story that sells the second issue.
Yes,
and that's I thought that was perfect. And I'm quoting you here, Chuck. I'm going to steal it. So
magical post. It's the truth. You got to be able to make something that draws them to come back to issue number 2. And I recently had a conversation with someone, and I said, you got to get issue 1 out. Get issue 1 out. Don't plan for issue number 2 in your head, but don't start art. Let your audience tell you what they did, because it's hard. I remember when I was first a creator, it was T-shirts. Everyone get T-shirts. I bought tons of T-shirts. They're in my garage. I've given a lot of them away for free. Here's the problem with getting a T-shirt. Unless you figure out a perfect logo that will sell itself at a convention, unless you do something like that, and it takes a while sometimes to get there, people aren't going to invest in a T-shirt because they don't know. Think about this, and I have it all. This is the funniest thing to me is when people take a picture with someone who just bought their book and posted it. That'd be like someone being like, here, brand new product, hold this, now take a picture. I would never do that to anyone because they haven't read it. I will only take a picture with someone. If they want to take a picture, no problem. But I would only take a picture with someone who enjoyed my work and I wanted to show love to them because they were a person who really loved it. And I'd be like, hey, do you want me to give you a shout out for being an awesome fan? Like Mike. What Mike James does is amazing. He reads the books and he gives actual breakdowns. What he did for The Advocator, I can't wait for him to do it, the Continuum. He took the time to talk about every single story and give his opinion on it.
But it is Mike doing it, though, right? Mike. It is Mike, right? Trish scares me. I love Trish.
No, Trish doesn't do it.
No, Trish is right there. I love Trish.
No, she gives her honest opinion. God bless her. She does.
Trish is from New York. Trish is from New York, but
you can't handle the truth, right?
Somehow some DNA from New York got into Trish because that's New York for you right there. She comes right on the show and when I'm the one, God bless, when I'm the one in the room who has to turn around and say, behave, there's a problem. There's a problem, Trish, but I love it. I love every second. I love being able to be the one who says behave, and I'm like, go ahead, keep going. There's that side of me that's cheering. No, don't listen to me. You're on gold. Keep going. Keep going. That's fantastic.
Oh, really? Well, that's good to know because
except for Nita.
Except
for Nita. Everything I say to Nita is dead serious. No, look, I'll say it right now. My partners are not play toys to mine. They're not under my control. They're grown-ass fucking people and can do whatever the hell they want. And I'll have their back. I might disagree with them, but I'll still have their back come the next morning. I'll just be like, we all said dumb shit, right? We've all been there. We had a little too much caffeine, right? And someone asked us in a moment. We answered honestly. Like someone asked you your opinion of Marcel Dupree's crowdfunding, and all of a sudden you made a milk carton with his face on it because he wouldn't come confront you in the middle of the show. It happens. These things just happen on a weekend.
I'd like to refer everybody to the beginning of the show where the views and opinions expressed by the people.
We're just being participants. This is folksy, right? We're just being folksy right now.
And that's none of my business.
But no, seriously, the playground's big enough for everyone, but take your time. Don't rush. We're not rushing the Continuum. No. This has been planned, and for those who don't know, Continuum started a year ago before the pan. You know what? And it was going to be Comic Book Advocates Presents, but it sounded like a circle jerk name, like where he's promoting his site. And I'm not trying to dig on anyone because I know someone will try to make it that I'm talking about the Indie Vault Revolt. That's their choice. This is how I felt about my choice. I didn't want to put Comic Book Advocates on it. I felt like, to me, it was a circle jerk. They have a different reasoning for it. You should go over to the Indiegogo, and Randy has a video, and he actually talks about it. For Comic Book Advocates, it didn't make sense, especially considering early on we'd called ourselves Written Sins Productions, and that did not go well. So to me, it was just a knee jerk. So before anyone tries to go sending it, if you screen clip this, before anyone starts trying to go out there, so when they watch the full video, they'll see I'm not digging on anyone but myself. To me, it felt like a circle jerk because of my past. You're all grown. Go do your own shit. I'm not Moses, and I didn't bring any tablets. The only tablet I got is the one that my kid stands on and is breaking and driving me crazy. So What I'm just trying to say is do what you're going to do for you. So for me, it didn't feel right. So I called it Creator Spotlight, and that was a working title. I wound up bringing it with me to a different company that didn't last. And but bringing it there put me together with Meredith, put me together with C, put me together with Nita, put me together with Mike Seeley, and now we have Continuum. It's all that matters. The rest, the other spots, 10 years from now, no one's going to care. But 10 years from now, when we hit our 100th issue of the Continuum, it's going to be a fucking celebration, I'll tell you that.
When we're living in Florida.
I don't think a lot of people really consider the long-term plan, you know? Some people are just day to day. They're like, okay, what do I have to get done today? Or the crowdfund. It's like, I just have to get past this crowdfund. It's like, what is the next step? What are you doing afterwards? You know, I mean, it's fine and good to have those goals, but then, you know, have that 3-month plan, have the 1-year plan, try and project those ideas out to the 5 and 10-year plan. When Rob and I started talking about this, it started off with a 10-year plan, 100 books, 10 years. Let's see how close we can get there. We're only in we're in month 1. Okay. And I think we're doing pretty damn good. And that's not to take my arm off and pat myself on the back.
Oh my God.
We, you know, and it was birthed from bullshit, birthed from the fires. Nita, what was it that was on your profile? I absolutely
the fire you threw me in to destroy me, forged me.
Yeah, you know, I feel like that is my entire life. You know, all of the things that I grew up with, the adversity, being bullied, just all of the challenges that I had. I didn't know I was an Aspie until I was in my 30s. You know, it's just like finding out all of those things that could have tripped me up helped me become who I am right now. And that determination and just being able to sit back and observe and try to be objective about all of the things. And then really taking the things that happen and go, okay, I can use that. I can use that. I can use that. We'll piece it back together. Hey, Voltron.
What up?
You know, that's what it is. You keep on going, or you give up and you go, no, not for me. And it's okay. It is okay if you are
Power Rangers.
If you are at that point where you're like, no, not for me, that's okay too. Go find something that will bring you joy. Because if it doesn't bring you joy, even with the adversity, even with those challenges, then what the hell are you doing it for? You know?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That's what makes you. That's what makes you. In the long run, that's what makes you.
Yeah, and Mike, thank you for tuning in. You are more than welcome to join us. You know, most Sundays we will have an open link. A lot of times we do try to have topics, and sometimes we touch on the news that happened that C and I talk about on Weekended. So anytime we have a StreamYard link, you are more than welcome to join us. But so he says, I got weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, 5-year goals. It never ends. It never should until they put your body in the ground or sprinkle your ashes. There you go.
Yep.
Sprinkle your ashes on top. I mean, I love you and all.
Gonna put it all in pepper shakers. Y'all can eat me when I'm dead.
Now, remember one thing. The great thing, I don't even want to know.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, I'm not going to. One thing about the one thing that's great about the Continuum is that it actually inspired creation of a company. The idea itself has organically grown into something bigger and badder. So I think that's pretty awesome.
JD is in the house.
What's up?
How you doing, guys?
Hey, there you are.
Hey, I heard I was summoned, so I have to.
We don't see him because he's fresh out the shower this morning. That's
right.
Oh no, I'm fresh out of bed. It's worse than that.
JD, we were talking about crowdfunding hangovers because
Right.
you go from Kickstarter to Indiegogo and back and forth. Is it a job for you? Is it something that you kind of show up, or is it?
Or a drug.
Or a drug. I don't understand your pace. I'm exhausted watching you, quite honestly, and I love what you do, but it's like, how do you keep up?
Right.
It's funny. It's gotten to a point where if I'm not doing a crowdfunder, I'm a little afraid I'm addicted. If I'm not doing a crowdfunder, I'm like, what am I doing with my life right now? Why do I exist?
Drug.
It's really weird because, I'm still writing, I'm still creating books, I'm still dealing with artists, I'm still doing all those other things. But also one of the things is that, my crowdfunders, there's two things. One, I don't do enough promotion. Like I don't come on enough shows. The reason that is I work a 9 to 5. I'm dead afterwards. I sleep late. Like last night I was up till 4 a.m, but I was writing, so that was a good thing. But it's one of those things. It just gets you. But I have to start doing more shows to make the crowdfunders larger, right? So then that way I can maybe do a few less, I should say. So then that way. I'll have enough finance because literally I'm financing the books through the crowdfunding. So I'm paying all these artists, and the rates are not cheap. So you got cash is fuel, right? And without that fuel, you can't run that engine. And I mean, you just need it. And I heard you said you had a 10-year plan. I don't even know how. I have a plan, and it's like, okay, I got to get to this point. Whatever that point is, and whether it takes me another 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, that's what it is. And that's the plan. It's just like make it to the end. So, the only solid promise I made myself was that I would be finished writing it by the time I'm 55. So I got another 3 years, So it's one of those things where it's like, you have to really, really work at it, and you have to really, really hammer at it. It's not easy. But it can be fun, though. I like my fans. I love my fans. I love meeting new people. I love talking to new people. I have, I come on here. I go on a variant show. I have my own shows. I'm hosting a show tonight where I literally had to stop inviting people on because I had too many. Like I got to.
What do you have on for tonight, JD?
Hold on. Let me pull up my list because it is a list.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Hold on, let me pull that up. I know I have Ozzy on, and he's like the only name I'm really remembering. Hold on, here we go.
Oh, it's not a one-on-one.
No, it's not a one-on-one. This is my Sunday night where we all get together and I hammer on all of them. All right, I got JD Rosario, I got Anthony Figueroa, I got Randy Zimmerman, I got Jason Dubé, Ozzy in Longaria, Alex Dewey, and I believe Russ is coming on too.
So you're doing a bunch of people with active Kickstarters,
right?
Nice.
That was the whole point for the show was to get people on who have active.
Crowdfunders, yeah,
exactly. So, and the thing is, I wanted to invite. There's like 4 or 5 other people I wanted to invite. I can't because I'm at 8, and once it gets to 9, it starts to get a little unruly. It gets long. Because it's like I want to get everybody their chance, and it's just because I like to keep it to 6, but it's rare I ever get it to 6 because people invite other people. I was like, can I bring this guy with me? And I'm like, sure. I never say no. Right. I was like, yeah, come on.
Party gets out of hand. The parents come home like, what the hell? Who broke the layout?
Exactly. The more I always say, the more the merrier. Just bring them all in. Let's everybody have a good time. I did a one-on-one the other night with Marvin Wynn. So, that's right. You sent the message, so you know Meredith. So yeah, and then next week I'm looking to, and I forgot his name because I'm bad at names, but yeah, there's another person I've lined up for Friday. So we'll see. It's always it's always a thing. Nice. I like that shirt.
But
April 1st. April 1st is Autism Awareness Day, by the way, guys.
Cool.
Why would they do that on April 1st?
I have no freaking idea. But or the second. Hold on. I'm going to mute and I'll ask. I think it's the first one. I look quick. Hold on. Give me a second.
But that whole thing, again, seeing you moving between the different platforms and having the crowdfund. All right, JD. So, quick question then: do you ever worry about backer fatigue?
Well, that was a worry for me in the beginning, but it was. I'm part of a community of creators who get together and we talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I spoke to the guy who heads it, and he said, "Look, he says we all buy comic books, and we're accustomed to buying comic books monthly. You understand? So that was his reason. He's like, people are accustomed to buying these things regularly, and they're accustomed to buying them, on, this monthly schedule. We're at best maybe you'll find one for me every other month that's new, because like right now the one I have on Indiegogo I've already done on Kickstarter. So my Kickstarter guys, I'd be like, look, don't even look at it. It's not for you, because this is for new people. You understand? I'm trying to get new people in. So that's what that's for. And Kickstarter, Indiegogo is just, just a mean mistress. She's always punching me in the mouth. She's always punching me in the mouth. Pap, there you go, buddy. This is gonna take a while. Pap, there's another one for you. I'm like, damn it.
Here's your 5 backers. Exactly.
But the one good thing is that particular campaign is all back stock for me. So I already have this stuff. So it's like, well, if I make $1 or I make $1,000, it doesn't make a difference. It's like, all right, here you go, guys. I got it for you. You're ready.
Right.
So, but the only thing is with that one, I just have to start doing other shows. There are a lot of people doing other shows, and a lot of people I don't talk to. So, and I have to just force myself to get up early and, do things like that, because I hate getting up at 9 a.m. because this show's at 9 a.m. Why is such an ungodly hour? How are you people even awake? Why?
Now, by the way, the question about the autism first starts Autism Awareness Month, I guess, is all of April, but Autism Awareness Day is the 2nd.
Oh,
that's
okay.
probably the confusion. So on the 2nd, which is, hold on, I'll tell you, I have my thing. Friday the 2nd will be Autism Awareness Day. Actually, Freaky Friday, Meredith.
Okay. All right. And then we've got James Bexton is sharing a bunch of links on Facebook right now for crowdfunds that are active. Travis Gibbs broke down in 4 Dead Bodies. It's the last of that story arc, and that is ending very soon. Ends in a day. So, and Mike Seeley, come on in. I think we're good for another 20 minutes. We really don't want to go too much longer than 90 minutes on the Sunday COMiX Brunch. I mean, we could go 2 hours, I guess, but that's kind of pushing it, especially since, we've got things that we need to fulfill and other things that need to be worked on.
Some of us need to bathe.
I was this close to being like, nah, I don't want to show up. And it was like, nah, I made a commitment to Sunday COMiX.
So let me ask you guys a question, because I know all of you have been nuts promoting your stuff, right? Promoting, the book. And because I know you have fatigue, right? But what is it that drove you the nuts most? Like, what was it? Just the constant shows, just constantly screaming about it? What was the thing that drove you guys nuts?
Nita?
Okay, for us, it was monkey wrenches.
Oh, gotcha.
Outside influence.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, and we had to pivot and change in mid Kickstarter, and we started a company in the middle of a Kickstarter, man.
Wow.
It was crazy.
There's Mike.
And not to mention, you also had a couple people we had.
Sorry, I have to go find the link.
Good morning, Mike.
What was that?
You had somebody with their back out. Then Nita had mono, and so she kept falling asleep all the time. Turn around
during a meeting, dude. I sat there. I was just like talking to Meredith and Rob, and I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Don't do that for the next one.
No. God.
Yeah.
Mike, please introduce yourself. And JD, we didn't give you a chance to introduce yourself, so let's do that quick.
All right. So, Mike, you want to go first? Or you want me to do it?
Sure. I'm Mike Jimmy of Fairies and Ants. I create the series Live on Korra and Infinite Guardian. They are both written by other people and colored by other people as well, but I do the inks and the pencils for it. Currently, Live on Korra 3 is running on Indiegogo, where it's doing really well. We just hit our first stretch goal yesterday, so go check it out. We got a few hours left. I'm going to expand in a few hours. It's going to run for another 30 days. And it's a really cool world building comic. So yeah, go check it out. There's some really cool stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cool.
off to you.
All right, my name is JD Calderon. I'm the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles and Tall Tales Online, and I can be found under JD Calderon on Facebook, Twitter, and DeviantArt. And I also have an active campaign on Indiegogo for the Oswald Chronicles. My Time with Clive, issues 1 through 4. Go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I love your style.
I wanted to
Yes.
ask a question for those who do Indiegogo, because we kind of toss it around, and I think right now we're not going to do that. But with Indiegogo, you have an opportunity to extend or go in
Yes.
demand. Why?
Mhm.
What's the difference, and why do you choose one over the other?
Extending just means that you have a longer campaign.
Right.
So it's it's a normal like a Kickstarter campaign, but you get up to 60 days. And going in demand means that your campaign turns into a web shop, and you
Right.
can let it run for as long as you want and fulfill in the meantime, so more money can come in.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, one of the things I found, well, the extending the campaign is kind of like a strategy. So what I've noticed is that guys get close to like that 30th day, and then people will pile on money, and they'll make their goal, and then they'll be like, okay, we got to this point. Oh, what if we had an extra 30 days? And boom, and then they can make even more money. So they
Yep.
got all those early fans, and now they're going to capture even more fans. So
Yeah.
that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, but
And then,
those are the people who take a year to get a book out. I got other books to get out this year. I don't have 60 days for one campaign.
well,
I don't want to do a blanket statement like that, but
No, me personally, I
Right,
think it's
right,
a waste
right.
of time. If you can't do it in 30 days,
oh
you
yeah,
didn't do a good campaign. That's just me. That's my
Oh, no,
opinion. We're going to be doing 18-day camp. No, 7, 14,
21?
21-day campaigns
Right.
from now on.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down to 24 days. I want to get it down to 21. Well, no. But the thing is the idea isn't that you didn't make your funds. Is that you actually made a good deal of money. You made your funding. You made even more money. So the extra 30 days is to give you an opportunity to make even more cash. That's literally what it's for. That's what I'm saying. Because that's the strategy that I've seen.
you know what's kind of funny though, because Indiegogo, don't they say this is not a store, and yet people will use it exactly
As a
like
store.
that.
That's exactly what we. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it
I-
turns into in demand.
No, Indiegogo does not say that because they do the in-demand. That is Kickstarter that says that.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yes.
Indiegogo. I thought I saw
I thought
that
it was
on
Indiegogo.
No, Indiegogo actually deliberately wanted that store model to make them different from Kickstarter. Another problem with Kickstarting fatigue, while I'm sitting down for a second, as I'm finishing my laundry, really quick, the problem with the fatigue that we didn't bring up, so I'm just going to bring it up, and I'm not disagreeing with JD, I'm just bringing this part up. Remember, on crowdfunding, generally speaking, your books are more expensive than they would be at a comic book shop. That's the difference. So that's why you get backer fatigue. Most people aren't putting out their table pricing on a Kickstarter. They're putting out what they need to help, and they're making more money on things. So that's where a lot of crowdfunding fatigue comes from. But to JD's credit, because I don't want to seem like I'm stepping on him, JD doesn't do a lot of alternate covers. He doesn't do a lot of gimmick stuff. He basically is giving you what he's giving you, and he keeps it pretty bare bones to his credit. But a lot of people do not.
Same.
A lot of people, for a 16-page book, a 20-page book, they're charging $10 plus shipping.
Right.
Our book was 40 pages, and we did what was it, 10 for the standard, and then you have the alternate covers, which will all be different, and even still at a table, we might actually keep it at 10, to be honest with you. 40, it's going to be 40 plus pages, the limited edition, but the regular one will be 40 pages. That's actually $10 isn't a bad deal. That's literally almost three Marvel or DC books, as they do have interior pages. Just about 16 to 20 interior pages of comics. So depending on which day it is, it's almost 3. It's definitely 2. But I just wanted to throw that in there. Mike Seeley's joining us in actually, hopefully, a minute too. That's where that phone call I was taking.
One of the things that I actually do is all of my books are limited edition. They're all signed and they're all numbered. So once those editions are done, I'm not producing them in that format ever again. So, you know, that's an added thing that I give to all the fans.
Yay!
For me, like with Love and Korra, like this is already the third issue. Like we got the 2 comics ready. Like hold on, let me grab them. Like they're literally done. You know, they're out, they're printed, they're paid by myself, and I'm doing the crowdfunder for the third because I have to pay my colorist and everything, and you know, I'm paying extra in this case. And you know, we wanted to, like, I wanted to pay, keep it off, and be like, okay, once you know things actually start rolling, I'm gonna go full on and go into a crowdfunder. And yeah, it's been working out. The Kickstarter wasn't successful because it's when you look at it at first, like I know it looks weird. You got rock people and everything, but we are building a world together with the reader. So in 32 pages, you will have a new kind of creature to follow and a new kind of environment to look at. And we're slowly building up the world like that. There's a lot of things going on in the background for my world building, but they are all ages books, so any kid can grab it and you know have a lot of fun reading it. And so with this book, you know, I didn't expect that all that much. Kind of got more than I expected at this point. And you know, once this book goes out and we're going to fulfill in May, like no problem whatsoever. And you know, once issue 4 comes out, because I'm well into issue 4 already as well, the creators, like the readers, are just going to come back because it's a good book. Like we've had proofreaders appreciating what we did, and it's only going to go further from there. Like everything is done and we're ready to go.
Well, let me ask you this, Mike, because I
Yeah.
see pound sterling there, and a lot of times when I see that, I'm like, oh, shipping's going to be very prohibitive. You know, I mean, this show, for the most part, we have an American audience.
Yes.
How do you determine your shipping, and is it cost effective for us? Because personally, I don't want to pay more for shipping than I do the book.
Right.
It is cost effective if you get the triple packs. Under that, I'm sorry, I'm from Europe. I'm from the Netherlands. It's kind of painful. I'm working on that. I've been talking to Critical Blast about you know, getting a mass shipment to him and then shipping it out from the US itself. So that's going to be for the next campaign, but we didn't know each other before this campaign. So that is going to be improved on. Right now, yes, it's very pricey, and I'm really sorry. Shipping went up with €5 overnight, you know, for us.
Wow.
It's insane. You know, that's $8 fucking out of nowhere.
Yeah. Wow.
JD,
JD, how about you? When because I know with mine, I had a book, and it wasn't a comic book or anything. I didn't even offer international shipping. I was just like, you know, because it's prose. Eventually, it's going to be on Amazon. You want it, you can get it through there. But for your books, how do you deal with an international market?
I price it. I try to do my best to price it accordingly. I mean, literally shipping a book to you. Well, it's 3 books, so you get the 2 comics and a chapbook. So I think to Europe is about $35 at this moment. If you're in Australia, it's like $65. If you're in New Zealand, it's $75. Yeah, I have a guy that actually orders stuff from New Zealand, and it's expensive. And usually, what he'll do is he'll order like the highest level tier, you know, so it's a little bit more worthwhile for him. But yeah. It gets pricey. It's very expensive. I mean, just to Canada, it's like $25.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, there are days I feel like I just drive up there and just go over the board. It's just like, here, take this, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
you're in New York, so it's what, a
Yeah.
6-hour drive?
Well, it's about 8 hours. Yeah, 6 to 8 hours. But yeah, it's
Well,
6 hours if you drive like Meredith. That's I mean,
right.
yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
The good thing for
wait,
my
Joe,
campaign
you
is
took that the
that
wrong way.
the
Go ahead,
good
Mike,
thing
sorry.
for Live on Quora at least is that like the shipping is worldwide pretty much the same outside of the European Union. So the prices set outside of the European Union is all the same. So it doesn't matter if it's to Australia or New Zealand or to the US, it's pretty much the same price.
Yeah,
So-
you're lucky with that one because with us, forget about it. Once in the continental U.S., it's practically dirt cheap. It's not that expensive. But once you leave, just going to Canada, going to Mexico, forget about it. The price it's like 10 times, you know, what you're used to shipping. You know, it's crazy. I don't know why it's like that, but it is, unfortunately.
And we are joined by Mike Seeley. You want to introduce yourself real quick? Looks like you're busy drawing.
Yeah, I actually have a deadline tomorrow for a Topps card set, LucasArts thing, and I'm probably not gonna do any more this year. I did 3. I want to really focus on indie comics, my particular properties, and our company, being that it's the continuum. I want people to continue to get into the continuum, so I want plenty of product to be able to put out and stuff like that. So my main focus is going to be pretty much indie comics and stuff like that, and that sets up for me to do bigger stuff, both with my stuff and then possibly doing some even bigger stuff with Marvel and DC, because that's still part of my dream. It won't stop me from creating. I'm not trying to take my property to that or anything like that, but it's like by doing my passion project, I feel like that it'll push me further to where I need to be.
Now, was this your first crowdfund experience?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been I've done Kickstarters in the past, like as far as purchasing, and it hasn't always been comic books, because I think Shark Tank started me on Kickstarter, because they did a lot of Shark Tanks that you could just buy items. And I didn't even think of it for comic books until, like, I feel like 2018 or something like that may have been when I started getting my first comic book, purchasing from other people. And then Indiegogo, I think I've only bought 2 things from Indiegogo, because I just didn't fully grasp it and didn't understand what the difference was, and were they both on the same, both on the same platform. And I think, am I right or wrong? You guys are more seasoned with it. When it first started, it wasn't. People went kind of back and forth from both.
Yes, because Kickstarter started as a mainly comic platform, and Indiegogo didn't have comics at first. Indiegogo was for gadgets, and they only opened up like way later.
Okay.
Don't know the exact dates. Don't take my complete word for it, but yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember Indiegogo being more for like the little things like the small tech. I had stuff like this, and kind of getting in on the ground floor with a lot of that stuff. And I don't
it's
remember.
changed a lot then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that seems like it's certain groups will go into Indiegogo and certain groups will go into Kickstarter.
Yes.
That's bizarre to me, because I just want to make comics, and it's like I could care less. I'm just trying to create a good product that anybody want to read.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm trying to make a product that's mainstream, because I'm not like doing something niche or undercurrent. Like I feel like my creations are more what people know. Superhero.
I think what you have with Indiegogo and Kickstarter, not just certain groups too, but people get comfortable with the platforms that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like switching from Photoshop to Clip Studio Paint. A lot of people don't want to do that because they have to learn a whole new program. And the same thing goes for Kickstarter and Indiegogo. You get comfortable where you're at, so you don't really want to branch out at time because you get busy too. That happens.
Oh
so.
God, yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, the platforms aren't that much different from a creator standpoint. From putting together the campaigns, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The only reason I do it and I advise people to do it is, it's just a different platform, and you do have these different groups. So you have one
Right.
group over Kickstarter, and you have another group at IGG. The only difference is that group at IGG, you have to work at getting them.
Yes.
So once you get that group worked in, you get 20, 30, 40 people who, once you put up a campaign, they come to you and they just buy your stuff. It starts making it a little bit easier. I'm trying to get there. I'm working at it.
To me, it feels like a Coke or Pepsi.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
You say you have
Yes.
to work a little harder for Indiegogo.
And Coke is better, Meredith, so that doesn't work.
What is that? What does that entail? I mean, why do you say that? You have to work a little hard to get people on Indiegogo.
Well, see, Kickstarter, you can just put up your thing and people will start finding you. They're out, like there are a lot more people. So people are looking. They're looking for stuff. They're looking for new campaigns. Okay. So you, like every new campaign, I can just throw one up and I'll see 2 or 3, 4 or 5 new heads and they'll just appear. Right. And then I have my normal group of whatever, 30, 40, 50 people that just show up. Right.
Right.
But Indiegogo, no, you can put your campaign up there and you can sit there and just cry as you see it at 0. You just be like,
why trading? Why do you go there then?
Because I'm a as we like to say here in New York, I am a glutton for punishment.
Another trend I've noticed is that you see a lot of the advocates and promoters constantly Kickstarter. So I've been trying to pay attention to the Indiegogo running campaigns to share those out myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've also noticed that Kickstarter seems to be synonymous with crowdfund.
Right.
So it's almost like instead of saying tissue, people will say Kleenex, and that's really important when it comes to marketing. To be synonymous with that.
I've been trying to just move over to saying campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The thing with
That's what I'm laughing about back there. The crack is whack.
I'm telling y'all, cancel culture is coming for me. Very careful.
Sorry, Mike. What were you saying?
Kickstarter. Kickstarter is constantly curating new campaigns and stuff that they can put as projects they love and everything. Indiegogo doesn't. Indiegogo doesn't care unless you make $1 million. Overdoing it, but I mean you have to be very successful on Indiegogo to be highlighted.
So let me ask
Kickstarter.
Why would you go to a place that's harder? Why not build up the Kickstarter audience then? Why not go out there and do everything you did with Indiegogo? I'm literally asking, where was the pivot?
I have been trying to, but Kickstarter just doesn't work for the kind of comic that I'm creating apparently, because I'm doing a lot better on Indiegogo.
But like we said, on Indiegogo, you had to bring the people. So why do you think you couldn't bring them to Kickstarter? I guess that's my question, because you're saying you found success in one place, and that's fantastic. I'm just trying to figure out that missing X factor. Why did it work here? Because I see all different comics on Kickstarter. I don't see that being it.
In 2018, you had the drama with the Kickstarter union that they didn't want the union to appear and everything. That whole drama, and a lot of people moved over from Kickstarter to Indiegogo because of it. And you got your comic groups and stuff like that are much more into Indiegogo as a whole. And the way that you have to immediately pay, and if the campaign isn't successful, you get it back later, because that means that you have the money at that exact time, and you don't have to worry at the end of the campaign going oh fuck, but now I got to pay.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, especially comics on Indiegogo, are really growing right now, from what I'm seeing. and apparently, like, yeah, it some things do better on Indiegogo, some things do better on Kickstarter. It really depends on what kind of people you just manage to pull in. And a lot of people, when they see you on Kickstarter and seeing you on Indiegogo, they're gonna be like, okay, but then I'm not gonna back the Kickstarter because they're gonna be on Indiegogo, and the other way around.
See, one of the things, I honestly don't understand why Indiegogo isn't more popular. I mean, I do. Yes, I do. But when it comes to the funding, it's like on Indiegogo, I have to, before I back a campaign, I have to know that I have got money in the bank or on my card, you know? So, but as a creator, that's nice to know that that money is there. Whereas Kickstarter, you have to wait 30 days and then you have to wait another 10 days. It's like, okay, what's clear?
And they can back out.
They can back out at that point. They can change their credit card, and it's just, you know, anything like that. So it's weird, but I understand Kickstarter because that networking aspect. If I'm following anybody, I know exactly what they're backing.
Yes.
I don't on Indiegogo, and I'm like, if they took some of those elements, I don't know. I would be on a seesaw. Like, which way would I lean more towards? Only because of the financial aspect. It's like knowing that, you know, if you're backing something, that money is coming off your card that day.
Yeah.
That seems more appealing to me. That to me does feel like a shop. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Okay, so here's the missing factor that we're not seeing. It's Kickstarter because you're kickstarting a project. Play on words, definitely there. You're telling people I need this amount of money to produce this product. They do not want someone who does not make that money then going out and just taking what they did scrape together with a flexible goal and then trying to piece something together. That is what your funding goal is supposed to be. What do I need to make this project a reality? That is why I prefer Kickstarter, because I've seen a lot of Indiegogos that ask for 10 grand, get 1,000. I'm like, but wait, is this happening? Am I getting like cave drawings now? Is
right?
That we were going to give you a comic book, but here's a picture of us cave drawing it now. So I think there's more accountability with Kickstarter. Yeah. I think that there is a lot more. There's no extending your campaign for extra time. And again, I'm not trying to dig on that, but I mean, if you're extending time on crowdfunding, is that going to affect things like your date? Because a lot of these people extend and suddenly they're delivering late. And we're late now, so I'll just give you the book in a year. And that happens a lot more in Indiegogo. Not to say it doesn't happen in Kickstarter. I see it on 100%. Kickstarter all the time. But Indiegogo is famously late to the show with a lot of their companies. I've also had a personal problem with Indiegogo, so I have ethics problems with them as a company. Their customer service, I might as well yell into the void. I would get better answers than I do from them, and I get pre-programmed answers. And you were going to say something, Nita?
I was going to say that's why I'm selective on the Indiegogo campaigns I share. Like, I don't have any problem sharing JD. I'll share like Frank Forte, Mike. You know, but you got to be careful. But you want to know, you want to know that you're backing and putting out there and promoting people that you know are going to provide that product at the end of this campaign.
Yeah, and Kickstarter also says, hey, this is on the creators to fulfill this, while Indiegogo goes, whatever happens, happens. And there's never a real pushback. The Indiegogo is more of a Wild West. Not saying it's bad. The people were asking what's the difference there. Indiegogo has had a horrible track record with tech, by the way, which is what brought them to the game, like Meredith said. They have had a horrible track record with tech. We don't talk about it because it's comics, but they have a lot of unfulfilled things. I just saw it the other day. I don't know if it was a Kickstarter or I'm pretty sure this one was a Kickstarter, but or an Indiegogo. There was something that raised millions of dollars to make a video game, and it still hasn't done a video game. It's still crowdfunding. Actually, I think it might be. They're on demand because they couldn't be doing it otherwise. Go ahead, Meredith.
I just wanted to add that we are at the 90-minute mark. Are you guys okay to keep going for another 20 minutes?
I'm going to bounce because my kids are trashing the house. So,
all right, Nita.
Peace out, guys.
Before you go, tell people where they can find you.
I'm Nita Lanning on Facebook. You can tag me in any Kickstarters or crowdfunding campaigns you have going on, and I am creating chaos 24/7 throughout social media. And I can be found. Whoa! Hey! I am a partner of Continuum Comics. What up? And I'll catch you guys later.
All right. Nice seeing you, Nita. Have a
You
good
too. Bye.
Bye.
Anyone else?
Bye. I don't know when I'll see you next.
Anybody else need to go?
Okay,
No.
just to finish the Indiegogo versus Kickstarter thing. I'm not saying not to use Indiegogo. It's a personal choice. It's always going to be a personal choice when it comes down to it. It's where you can take your fan base. I like Kickstarter personally because I can talk to the customer service. I've worked with people behind the scenes. They offer you help. They offer you better background stuff. They want you to be successful. They do projects we love. They feature Kickstarters. There's a lot more that goes into that. So that's just from a marketing point of view. Kickstarters always seemingly work better for me. But with that said, I want to stress I'm not talking about any of the politics behind this. This is pure tech between the two sites, the creators and what they have created for me to use. I know a lot of people have some political or feelings or thoughts and all that. I'm not involving myself in that. I'm here to create comics. Whatever helps me create the best is what I'm going to use. So if Indiegogo became the better product tomorrow, I would get my Indiegogo shirt.
Right.
Good,
Well, I mean, you made perfect, yes, exactly everything what you just said. Like, literally, yeah, you're completely right. But for me personally, the reason I don't mind using the flexible goal is the moment like the Kickstarter failed, I was like, yeah, I know what I'm going to have to pay. I know what needs to go into this series. I know that the book is done, and I know that on Indiegogo, I will have my money from the campaign within a couple of days because everything is already in. So it's not like a month or 1.5 that I wait for money to come in to finally pay my printer. And whatever extra I have to pay, I keep that aside. And, all the money that comes in from Indiegogo, I just pull off of the money that I actually need rather than the other way around.
Right.
And a lot of people start with a really high flexible goal and, and they just make $1,000 out of a 10,000 goal. And then they're like, oh shit, but now what? And they just run away. And they'll do another one like in half a year because with a new account because they just want to do it again. And they can. And it's really harmful for the platform because all in all, I don't think it's a bad platform.
Celie, what were you going to say?
I that was my first few experiences. Some people I met on Instagram that were creating comics, and it looked like they were producing. And I've had the experience. Like I said, I hadn't done comic book backings until like 2018. So when I did start it, there was a couple, not all of them, but there's a couple that I did both on Kickstarter and on Indiegogo that were talked a really good game, but they were working on the product.
Yes.
And so the product kept getting pushed back. There was no notification on it. I've emailed it, even said some kind of pissy things that, you got to treat your customers better than that. You'll never get them back kind of thing. And I said, at least let us know if a family member died or something crazy happened, let people know. And so I got really leery after a couple of ones that went on for a long period of time. So now I know more about indie people, and so you kind of migrate towards the people that's actually produced stuff or have said we're done. We just need printing and this kind of thing. They already came out of their pocket, and that means you're gonna get your product within within a month and a half kind of thing. Not like, oh, we're still working on it, because it's, and if you're an artist, you understand how you can get into slumps at times, and you cannot be that way if you're producing for a person, for your customers, for your audience that you're trying to build. You can't be like, oh, I don't feel like drawing. And so they got money in their pocket and you're waiting. and waiting,
Yeah.
and it just does not sit right in taste. So I actually do research, like how many have they done? Do they have back stuff that they've done in the past? So it's a lot of research before you decide I'm pulling the trigger on this comic book, even though it may look like they are good artists and they look like they're going to do something. The story seems interesting, but it's like you almost have to do extra research to see if it's worthwhile. Then there goes, I like comic books, and I'm just going to go to my comic book store because I know it's going to be there, and I know it's going to be there next month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's
100%.
rough. I've waited up to
Yeah.
4 years to get a book.
It's crazy
Yeah.
to me.
There's some campaigns that have yet to fulfill. I have one guy who I know personally who's I think on 6 years now, you know, and it's like,
Does he still have a pulse?
yeah, he does.
Okay.
I mean, he works within the industry.
That's one thing I could say about COMiX
Yeah.
Tribe. I'm waiting on that Wailing Blade, and they've been having problems. Their printing was across seas, so they were having problems getting that, shipped out and everything like that. But they're keeping you updated. They're letting you know.
Yeah.
I can't remember Tyler. I can't remember what his last name is. It's keeping you updated on what's going on with that. So you want it. You really want it, but you're not as impatient because you're not worried about it. So because they're keeping you updated.
Yeah,
You gotta be communicating.
Yeah,
communication is key in every aspect, I feel like.
Yeah.
But in particularly if you're creating something for people, even I just backed the project, but Brian Stillfreeze did, and also another big person I forgot, and they had issues when pandemic was happening where their books were made and it was just sitting at the dock. But they let us know, look, this is at the dock. This is what they say. They anticipate they've been held up by this, and at every step of the way. Then you don't get weird like my money that I put in there. Mind you, we are paying more money for our comic book to get to us because we like the product and everything like that. Like I said, it's not like going to the comic book store, where somebody's producing 20,000 comic books. So we're willing to invest in that person, and that story that they told us is so amazing. So let us know.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is I got a question for you guys. I just recently got a Kickstarter, right, from somebody, and it was just one book, right, and there was nothing in it. So I'm spoiled, right? So I'm accustomed to putting in stickers. I put in cards for people. I put all this stuff. So I get this thing, and it's just the book, and it's just a book. And I'm like,
oh man,
you send me a sticker that didn't send me anything, and I'm like, am I ever gonna back this person ever again? Because in the end, I know this person raised probably $3 or $4 grand, and I know what a sticker costs to make, and I know what a bookmark costs to make. It's pennies. It's pennies on the dollar. You can get 500 cards made for like $30 or whatever. There a lot of these companies hold. Yeah. Right, exactly. So I'm like, damn, am I ever gonna back this person ever again? So I mean, does that influence you guys when you see that sort of thing? When you guys shop?
No, I just want the comic. Just give me what you said you're going to give me and get it to me in quality. I could care less about a sticker. I could care less about a bookmark. I want to know how the inside of that book looks.
I'll add something extra, because they helped make it happen.
Yeah.
But the main goal is to get the book out.
Yeah, I just want to finish up. This is important, Mike, and I'll give it to you. Put it in a goddamn Gemini mailer. That's
yes.
I got it in one of those.
Yeah. You show me you care. I don't care about anything else. Put it in a goddamn Gemini mail. Keep your sticker, keep your bookmark. Spend the money on a freaking mailer and put some bubble wrap in it. Put it in a board and bag. Put it in a board and bag.
Is it wrong to put somebody on blast that I ordered some books from?
No, you ordered it from them.
I ordered these books from these guys, and it was in an envelope with like cardboard cut, and it came to me horribly, and I was so disappointed. The art is amazing, the story is good, everything looks good, and then they send you some crappy box, and it's all mangled, and my books are mangled, and I paid good money for my books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm backing you guys. You could at least at least put it in a box that makes it hard for them to damage it.
That's an investment. That's an investment. That's not just a book. That's an investment in that. That's an investment in their future. You're investing your money in that. Yeah, you damn right it needs to be perfect when you get it.
I mean, no lie. I like the books. The art is good. The story's pretty decent on the books. The 3 books I got from them, but I'll never order from them ever again.
No.
Ever, because now I can't. I can't even trust you to get me my product right. And I'm not trying to like be so venting on it, but I felt some kind of way about it.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's where we're at right now. That's where we're at. You've got good, like they went to a good printer. It's good pages in the middle. It's got a good cover with the thicker cover. And I was like, how would you not invest in a Gemini mailer or some indestructible way of getting me my stuff?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean,
everybody says, "Oh, in Gemini mailer." I know that's the brand name and stuff. I mean, there are Uline things. It's just bring your books, Rob. I think I would respectfully disagree, because as long as it comes back to you safely, and it's not in some floppy thing where your product is damaged. But
the problem is Uline gets bent where I am. Just my personal experience, I've never seen a Gemini mailer bent. They have tried.
But to what JD was saying is, like, for me, I do like seeing the bookmarks and the little extras. It's like, did I pay extra for it? Was that part of the perk? Is like, did I level up because of those things? Maybe. But at the end of the day, if you're only sending me the product because that's all I had and not even a note, I'm going to be like, I feel a little bit disappointed. And it doesn't have to be like a handwritten note or anything like that, but just an acknowledgement. It's like a little thank you. There's just here's a little extra thank you, instead of being like, slap it in there and ship it out and who cares? It's off my desk. So I do like those personal touches, whether it's a sticker, whether it's a postcard with a thank you on it. Just as an example. Thank you, Meredith. From Jonathan Hedrick, he always writes a note.
With our coffee anthology and our tea anthology, because we organized 2 anthologies, we had all the a couple of the artists make like postcards and stickers and bookmarks, and everyone got them, with their books. They don't cost us much extra. They're a lot of fun. And you get we got 10 of the artists out of the 16 on the second one that, put a little thing in. Of course we're going to do that. It's more fun for us. It doesn't cost much extra. And, the backers will come back.
Right. I think what you take into consideration is, let's say you spend $30 on a floppy. You're kind of like, I got this floppy. But for people who get these things, you adding those bookmark, adding that sticker kind of feels like it adds value to that. And you're paying for the book. I get what Rob's saying. You're paying for the book. That's what you want. But it helps them to feel like they've gotten more bang for their buck, as it were. Now, I don't think I would necessarily stop supporting somebody because of that, because again, I did just order the book. But I understand why somebody would feel gypped if they didn't get that.
I don't know. I don't expect Walmart, Target. I don't expect anyone else to give me anything. If I get it, I'm happy. It's definitely a bonus. But the question was, would I look sideways at someone? No. Just put it in a Gemini, send it to me proper. That's my goal. And do the job. Hire an editor. There's so many other things I care about. Like a sticker and a bookmark are the least concerning thing I have about a crowdfunding. Because those are the things I put in a drawer and I never see again. A comic, if I read it and it sucks because an editor didn't touch it, that stays with me. That idea stays. Like when Mike just had a moment that'll stay with him. He will never forget that. When we're doing the sending out the packages, I know Mike's going to be like, nope, yep, Gemini mailers, yep, let's do some bubble wrap, yep, let's tape it up. That's where I'll spend my money to making sure you're not getting a damaged product. And I've had people send me pictures of how they beat up the product on the way to their house, but inside it's safe. Because of the extra steps I take. Go ahead, see.
Well, and the one thing about getting extras and stuff like that, when you get those prints and everything, I've actually seen this. The goal here is to have that item put up on somebody's wall. That way, they're always reminded of it. They always see it. And I've actually seen people post videos on something and say something on the wall that I myself have gotten in a Kickstarter. And it's like, hey, look, that's almost free advertisement in that way. And the same thing happens with stickers. People, if you get a bumper sticker or whatever the case is, you stick it somewhere, somebody's going to see it, ask you what it is, and that might open it up to a whole new audience. Now that's thin,
Yes,
but it does happen.
Yeah.
It's you pay extra for that indie comic already on the crowdfunder, you know, because one, it's probably not going to end up in stores, and if it does, you know, you're looking at an Indiegogo that made, you know, several grand. You're paying extra shipping because they have to do it privately usually, you know. And if you're overseas, you're paying a shitload, you know. And I have received things that I'm going, oh my god, no, they did not just do that. You know, I've had packages come back completely broken up. Hold on, I actually got one somewhere around. Like, I got this one back from one of my backers. I still gotta send it back out. It's been half a year and it came back only like last week. So,
Wow.
you know, it's completely bashed up. But if I open this thing, you're going to see like everything is bubble wrapped and everything. Because I'm not going to do anything where, like, yeah, I want my stuff to arrive safely. Like, I want you to enjoy opening it.
And I think, wasn't it Nita that said before that your post man will try and bend the Gemini mailers just to shove it in the box?
Yeah, just shove it right there in,
Yes.
in the mailbox. It's like,
I have a
just so
picture
they
of
don't have to knock on your door for some reason.
I have it
Yes.
shoved into my mailbox. So we have like the classic mailboxes in Florida, like the ones that you have to walk to your front lawn. And it shoved in. The Gemini bent out my mailbox, and it has never been the same now. And it actually has trouble opening. The U-line, that was what I was saying to you, Meredith. I've never seen a U-line survive. Every U-line has come here, has been damaged by my mama, who I think deliberately do this shit because they somehow are COMiX
I'm
code.
mad at you. How dare you order some weird package like that?
No, it's a COMiX code flunky who got fired in the 90s. Who's mad at your comics.
They didn't jump on the image train. Now they're going to take it out on your mail. That's what
I'm sure that's what he went into.
But the Gemini, they can't win. They've never been able to. Like, I have not seen it. I've seen a Gemini mail look like it was set on fire, acid thrown on it. Comic was still good inside it. So that's why I look.
COMiX Brunch brought to you by Gemini. No.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. What
Not
kind of
kissing
stock?
ass. It's showing
I
respect.
think I need to invest as well. What's
It's just.
Gemini stock?
But they are. If you can do it, they're going to be the industry standard. Watch Marvel and DC are going to start using. Not that they're shaded Diamond. Diamond don't know how to pack a box.
Diamond is horrible.
Gemini mailers.
Nope.
I actually know comic store owners, and they hate Diamond.
Yep.
And Diamond doesn't even care because it's like they've made more notes from one of the comic book owners that I know and said something recently only because of the new company that came in that started doing stuff for DC. Because he said the stuff that comes, the new guy that's doing stuff for DC sends their stuff and it comes good. It's not banged up. They take not care. They just take some time to put it actually in the box.
They
Right.
actually package it. That's it.
Yeah. And Diamond
bubble wrap.
like
Professional. Diamond sends stickers. But to Diamond's credit, Diamond sends stickers and bookmarks every so often. There you go. I'll just sprinkle some stickers on here to be okay. Not spending the money on the Gemini that was 55 cents, but here's your 2-cent sticker.
Yeah.
But
No,
now
less than
there's
10
competition for Diamond. So maybe now that there's competition for Diamond, DC now what is that? That's about at least a third of their profit is just gone after DC.
Yes.
At least a third, and it's probably more after DC pulled. And so now you've got competition. So maybe Diamond will say, "Hey, we need to perk up and actually do something about the way we're packaging stuff." And listen to them. You're probably right, Rob. Now you've depressed me. Thanks.
They haven't yet.
Yeah, I was hoping the same thing when we said that when I was on a show. Nope. I know comic book owners who talk to me about it. I talk to comic book owners. Nope, Diamond don't give a fuck.
they don't.
Well, you know what? Hey, I was watching a documentary about Blockbuster this morning, and we see how that went. I'm just saying.
Blockbuster,
And it wasn't Netflix that killed Blockbuster. So
be kind to every line.
Yeah, it was Blockbuster killed Blockbuster. So that
It's
was
always
my-
the company.
Yeah.
It's corporate wigs thinking, well, the U line is just as good. Sorry, Meredith. I tease Meredith. But it seriously is those missteps. Like putting a sticker in a book will never matter to me personally, and I know it doesn't matter to most people if the book isn't good. There are so many things you got to get to, and I'd rather you spend your time sending me a stupid T-shirt. Won't make me happy when I open your book and it's 16 pages black and white after you said it was color. It'll never make up. You live up to what you said on your campaign. I don't want you worrying about stickers if you can't handle it. If you can't handle making a sticker and that takes your mind off of the editor, because then I see it. And I read books. The first thing I do before I read an indie book now, I go to that title page and I look for the editor's name. I don't see the editor's name and I'm like, bless me, Father. I'm about to take on the monster. Please see me through the other side of this book without losing more brain cells.
I get that because if you get a damaged book and perfect stickers, it's like, well, maybe you're in the wrong business. Maybe
we should be doing stickers and bookmarks. I wrapped your bookmark in a comic so it didn't get damaged. The comic got all the damage.
That's all nice and good.
Yeah.
The stickers and the bookmarks are just a little extra thing so that the fans feel a little bit special. That's all it's there for.
That's
you know, I mean, we're not selling stickers exactly. We're not selling bookmarks.
But that's
make them feel appreciated.
It's
exactly.
It's a moment to make us sound like we have to start giving that because
you don't have to. But the thing is, it's like writing that note. You know, is that taking that little extra moment for your fan to let them know that you appreciate them and you love them. You know,
I do that with
that little extra thing.
I give a copy of what they ordered, and I sign it with a thank you. And if I know them personally, I add a little personal anecdote about them in it. I do it for every single backer. That is personal. A sticker, and I do stickers. I have stickers. Here's another problem with stickers, by the way, guys. If it gets too hot in the car, the sticker's glue can melt if you got it from a wrong company. And that has happened with campaigns, by the way. So careful if you're putting them inside your books to try to do media mail and get away with it. Also, kids, stickers could make it so you can't ship media mail, by the way, because now you're putting in promotional materials which aren't allowed. So that could also affect the actual mail office actually doing it. Depends what the sticker is and if it directly connects with the product or not. And a bookmark will instantly negate. You cannot send a bookmark in it. There's actually a rule about that. It has something to do with more the publisher's end for the people who do actual books. So if you get your media mail ripped open and they see a bookmark, all of your things will be flagged. They will pull it and they will send it back to you just as an FYI. And how do I know that? I have a buddy that happened to.
It happens. It happens more than people would like to admit.
Yep.
Trust me, and you're not going to get that money back.
And it's that one guy. It's that one guy at the post office who worked for COMiX Code. He's still mad that he got fired because everyone gave him.
To Rob Liefeld. I should have listened to him.
you know. But investing stock in Gemini and Linktree.
But yeah, just I want to come back to you on the editor thing. There is no editor on our page because my writers write the script, then it goes to me and I do the edits, and we're on draft 5 when I start drawing. There is some editing going on, and the kind of comics that we're working on, they're not that familiar with the kind of comic that I want to create. So we need to have that back and forth. So
everybody works a little differently. Dave Sim did 300 books without an editor. But he was a definitive pro though, I mean, so it just depends. Everybody works a little differently,
It can't harm to have at least a proofreader.
Right.
Yes.
Here's the thing. If you don't have an editor, you don't have a proofreader, and I read it and there's a problem, guess who I'm blaming? If you have an editor, at least you have that thing, and I'll be like, oh, maybe their editor screwed up that day, and I don't think sideways about you, and I might reach out to you, hey, your editor missed this. So I'm not thinking about that. You don't put an editor in your book. I see it. I'm like, nope, Mike did this. So Mike doesn't care about me. Mike just put this out because he didn't hire an editor. And I'll never be able to unsee that moment that you chose to skip that step.
Here's a tip. If you're going to edit yourself, use a pseudonym.
Yeah, it's true. It's true because then I'll be like, oh, who's this Roger Big Bighorn. You know, who's Roger Bighorn? What's this guy doing?
A horrible editor. You get
And
all
you
those
could
letters
fire
back,
him
you change the suit and
constantly.
everything.
And then, Mike, you could be like, Roger's no longer going to be on this project. Fuck Roger. He screwed up. He's never going to work in this business again. I guarantee you will never see Roger Bighorn on another book.
Start a whole Twitter war. Bring all
No, I
sorts
mean,
of
I credit myself on the editing, you know, I because, like, yes, I read a lot of comics. I edit for a lot of people too, you know. It's not just my own book. So, you know, there is a lot of back and forth. I'm not going to just be like, yeah, I proved it once.
But then at least list yourself as an editor, because I'm telling you,
Yeah, I do.
It matters to people. Like, not seeing an editor, it's like getting into someone's car without seatbelts. Oh, shit.
Know,
oh, shit.
Yeah. Like, I'll you know, I'll...
chicken bar.
When I pencil the pages, like, I send it out to my writer first, you know, before I start inking them, for the same reason. Like, they have a different vision than I do, and if they can't read it, then I'm screwing myself over, spending another 3 hours inking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's logical.
Right? Yeah.
It's logical, but people aren't logical.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
Sometimes and those are the people who want it for dollar signs. They see dollar signs. They're not the people who want to give you quality.
They won't be sustainable.
It's a nuanced thing because you have editors, and then you have copy editors, right? Yeah. And then you have, you know, just proofreaders. So you got to figure out which one you need, because you may not need an editor. You may just need a proofreader. You just may need a copy editor, right? So you got to know at what level you're at, because, you know, an editor for me is someone who's going to sit down with you, discuss the plot, you know, pull apart the story and do that sort of thing. Whereas a proofreader, they're just going to go in, make sure you know, your commas are in the right place, your semicolons are in the right place, your words are spelled correctly. And then a copy editor, though, is going to check your facts. And they're going to make sure that when you say this building is in this spot, it's in that spot. You know, this date, you say, you know, George Washington was killed on this day or he died on this date, that those dates are correct. So you got to know where you're at, and you got to know which one you actually need. So that's sometimes, you know, it's an area where, you know, people really need to look into.
And also, to JD's point, the editor is also sometimes called a story editor who does that in comics.
Right.
Just in case you're wondering, because he's right, it does get confusing what kind of editor you're getting. Because you'll have someone who you'll be like, hey, can you edit this? And they start changing your words, and it's like, no, that's not what I was asking you to do. And it's really just more of, like he was saying, a copy editor who's not supposed to touch the story. He's not supposed to do anything, but like JD said, just go over the bare facts. Hey, your comma's in the wrong place. Hey, this isn't, you used the wrong through. Use the wrong which. Because sometimes those things don't come up on spell check. Trust me. That shit happens to me every day. I pick a word and people are like, that's the wrong word. What is it? I have to do the $1 video, Meredith, because it says severed, I think, or something like that. It's a weird word.
Yeah, you said you wrote deceleration instead of declaration.
Oh,
the way you said it, yeah. I'm like,
that changes the whole
totally different. Yeah.
And my spell check said it was fine. Fuck my spell check. I'm firing my spell check. I'm going to Twitter, and me and my spell check are going at it.
You spelled it right. You just had the wrong word.
The editor spell check it.
And that's been up there for 2 years. That literal thing's been there 2 years because I read it out loud. I don't think anyone ever caught it. Because when someone's reading it to you, you'd have a tendency not to. You're just looking at the words and going, should he really use that font? I don't know if I like that color.
Yeah, like when my writer starts working, like he'll send out like a page by page description of every single page, you know, so to make sure that everything is chronological. I'll go over that like digitally, then print it out, go over it again, and then I'll come back to him, you know. And he's got some pretty bad dyslexia, which is horrible to work with sometimes. But whatever. And, you know, then he starts working on the script. And, you know, then there's another like 4 or 5 back and forths or you know, a voice call going, we need to work on this. This doesn't work in the world. How are we make it better? And then I can finally start making a storyboard. Then a storyboard goes to him. He'll come back to me going, this doesn't flow at all. You know, we got to do it all over again. And finally I can start sketching, and then I'm still gonna have like 10 times where someone is going, yeah, that doesn't work, mate. And I cry every single time. But yeah, you gotta have some back and forth. If you're just the only guy making a comic, at least get a proofreader, but preferably get an editor. Get someone who understands flow, who understands how reading actually works, like how lettering works, how to actually enhance your comic.
Yeah, and somebody that reads comic books too. I mean, obviously.
Yes.
I know a girl in Atlanta. She actually is a ghostwriter and writes, but you give her a comic book and she doesn't totally grasp it, because it's a different reading. It's a different way of
that
description. So it is some transition to it. And like I said, she works in the industry. She gets paid. That's her full-time job, is writing. So they hire her to proofread and read. She's an editor, but she writes and ghostwrites. So, but I give her a comic book, and she just, her mind is like, because all the rules that she knows is completely different from, and she was like, this does not compute.
I actually, the writer for Love and Cora 4 right now, like that I'm working, like, she had a panel where there were like 6 actions at once. And I was like, how am I going to do that? So I got back to her and I'm like, either we're going to make this page like 12 fucking panels, or we're making this 2 pages, Like, she's not used to writing comics, which I'm fine with. I can work with that, but she at least reads them too. If she didn't at least do that, I couldn't have hired her,
right?
To work on this. So yeah, you get someone who knows at least what this point is supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, I had someone edit a steampunk story, a couple of them that I used to write, and of course they would edit it. They never read it, so they would edit it, kind of straightforward as you see it. Well, then one day they started reading steampunk, and they're like, "Oh, now I get it. Now I see what you were going for." So it really helps to have somebody to understand the genre that you want edited.
Guys, we are at the. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
This is just a question that might lead into something else. Does it change if you're doing horror, if you're doing like zombie or like he said, steampunk?
Definitely.
To what you're dealing with on another avenue. And if that's the case, then you still have to catch somebody up in understanding how it needs to go. The cadence has to be a certain way.
Right.
If you're making a horror comic, get a horror editor, get a horror writer, If you're making fantasy, don't go for someone who makes horror. Don't get someone who's really into action. Well, action could work, but like who understands the world building aspects and the storytelling aspects that are needed for that specific genre.
The biggest fights you guys are going to see in comics are going to be about your dialogue, because dialogue does not hold up to editors. And when editors put the editor cap on, they stop looking at it as dialogue. They start looking at it as written word. And in comics, we don't have written word. We have dialogue. So I've had to tell my editor, stop, go back, read it out loud. And they're like, oh, yeah, that does actually make sense. Because it is literally a mind focus. And you have to be involved with your editor. You can't shit on your editor. You can't be mean to your editor. You have to listen to your editor, and you have to work together. And you have to argue your point and tell them why you did that. Let them argue back. And remember, if you're hiring them, it's your call. Like you do what you want to do. Don't be afraid to say, no, this is how it's going to be. This is it.
And that would be something that I would love to discuss, is that communication between the creator and the editor, the writer and everything. But we are at the 2-hour mark, you guys, and we're going to come to a close with Sunday COMiX Brunch this week. I'd love to go around the room. Please tell everybody where they can find you. And if you've got an active crowdfund, make sure that you drop it in the chats. I know that we've shared it out for Mike and JD already. Let's go around the room here. Mike Seeley, let's start with you first.
All right, you can find me at MikeSealy.com, MikeSealie. It's right there. .com. Also on Instagram is Mike_MJS. And also my comic that's being introduced in the Continuum, and it's the_Eclipse_comic. And see all the excitement that's happening with Continuum. Stay tuned.
All right.
Nice. I'm Mike J.B. Brown. You can find me on Twitter at @_ents. Lavacora 3 is currently running on Indiegogo. We're going to extend the campaign later tonight, so you still got time to grab this comic. It is a world-building fantasy comic, and yeah, hit me up on anywhere. Mike, Jimmy, Lortia, De Bruin. I'm pretty much everywhere, and you can always ask me a question if people want me on their show. I am always in for talking. So, yeah, have a great one.
Thank you. JD.
How you doing, everyone? Name's JD Calderon. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, DeviantArt, all under JD Calderon. You can also find me under the OswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com, and currently I have an Indiegogo running for the Oswald Chronicles, My Time with Clive, issues 1 through 4.
All right, I'm Meredith Longren. I am one of the associate editors over at Geek Insider, as well as the executive producer of the Geek Insider podcast, which this show is part of, as well as the Comic Book Advocates Network, which is the comic book arm. One of the partners in Continuum Comics, also Ragin'. It's the show about nothing and a little bit of everything, but mostly nothing. And we have a lot of fun for that. And head over to continuumcomics.com and you'll see whatever updates, sign up and follow us. See.
All right, I'm C. Michael Lanning, independent artist. You can find me on Facebook. Of course, Twitter. Now I have a new Twitter handle is C. Michael Lanning. It's very hard to remember, but it's C. Michael Lanning. Go check me out over there. And Instagram. Of course, I'll be on Week Ended, co-anchoring with Meredith Lockman, and also tomorrow on Geek Speak, talking about comics there too. So check that out, guys. And over to you, Rob.
All right.
Let me, Indy. I require entrance music from now on whenever I say
Oh my God, Rob.
Wow, going from one extreme to the other. Jeez.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
I have a link tree. No, I really don't. I have something better. I have chainlink.site. I am ready to go now. I'm a big kid now. Got my own place. Hey, check it out. Brand new banner. We wanted to talk about this. I got it done during the show. Coffin Comics has been added because they won Publisher of the Year. And the vote, Image was the one who got the most votes this year, so they got the biggest spot. Marvel was second. DC was third. This is all reflective. And there's our co-host, finally represented.
Wait a minute. I feel that's copyright violation right there. I don't think I gave.
I know. I felt that same way about videos this year with the Continuum thing. Still filing paperwork. There's still a recount coming. Just wait till issue number 2 where I blow everyone's socks off. Thank you for tuning in, guys. It's been a great show. I hope everyone's hangover wears off soon, and most of us will go through it, and we'll be back to it, and we'll have it again. We're going to keep going. We're going on May 4th. May the 4th be with the Continuum.
Love it.
Launch our second issue. That's right, Star Wars. We're coming for the 4th. We'll
that was only 2 later. Fingers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it 2? I'm sorry. Wrong fingers. That's it. We're out of here. I think we can still play our old brunch stuff. We have to redo so many videos. It's ridiculous, guys, how many videos. I have the perfect way to leave the show.
Comics are awesome.